Let's start with water. As the world marks International Water Day today, we're having that conversation about water and all the relevant issues on access to water. First, you may have heard the name or probably planning a visit there, but what more do you know about Ghana's village built on top of water? As the world marks Water Day today, joining us is Justice Baidu traveled to Nzulezu to find out from citizens there how life is living on water.
Sunday morning church, but not quite the place you'd imagine it to be. This is the Catholic Church inside Nzulezu, Ghana's only village built on water.
Our ancestors migrated from Mali during 14th to 15th century. But because of tribal war happened over there, that's why our ancestors migrated. The people say you have to remain here. They won't go to any place.
Life here, the people say, is just like anywhere else. The Tandani Lake, on which this community is built, is the source of drinking water and is also the dump site for all waste.
You drink this water. We don't have any water problem in this village. It's our water that you people drink.
Ezwa Aka has lived here all his life. He produces crafts. He targets the many tourists who flock here for visits.
If you are not strong, you can't live in Nzulezu. We are doing these crafts to earn money. In Nzulezu, we use the canoe to do everything. So we are designing it for sale to the visitors who come here. That's how we survive here.
This community has existed for more than 400 years. So popular is Nzulezu that in the year 2000 it won a UN award as a World Heritage Site. After 4 centuries, many young people who live here say they are yet to see the development that matches the town's popularity.
What I like about Nzulezu is that many people come for excursion here. And also, it's not just like coming to excursion. We even got something better here. I am born in this town, and I'm 14 years old. I don't even see something better here, so we need help.
As the world marks World Water Day, the spotlight turns on the people of Nzulezu. But this town, its people, and its future should be more than just a day's mention. Justice Baidu, Joy News, Nzulezu.
Now, away from the beautiful village there in Nzulezu, interesting that they live on water but don't have access to potable water. But we stay still in the western region where Justice Baidu took a trip on the Pra River sometime last year, just before the elections, one of Ghana's largest water bodies, to find out how illegal mining is killing aquatic life and putting many fishermen out of work.
The Pra River, one of Ghana's largest water bodies, meandering through lush cocoa farms across 4 of the country's regions. On its banks, illegal miners, locally known as galamsey, are hard at work. All along the coast of the Pra, hundreds of machines like these in the background work day and night digging for gold from underneath the water. None of the boys I've met here would agree to speak with me on camera, but in private, they tell me the work they do here is a choice between life and death. They run into the hundreds, but the real people who pay the price for the havoc they cause are in the thousands, possibly millions. And the people bearing this brunt are not far away. just a few kilometers downstream, I've come to see some of them in Anlo Beach, a small fishing town in the western region. To see what impact Galamsey mines have on lives here, I've spent more than 5 hours watching 33-year-old Komla casting his fishing net. He's been fishing in the Pra River for more than 10 years. For him, he says, times have never been this tough.
We used to get a lot of fish. Now, if we cast the net, we only get rubbish. Even today, I cast a net and got nothing. Life is getting tough.
After 5 hours of waiting to bring out the nets, this small fingerling is all we get. Instead, there's a lot of waste in the net.
During the washing of the gold into the river, the mercury, which is used in refining some of the gold, has destroyed the water, not only the mud, because the mercury getting into the water increases the high turbidity. So the chemicals kills the germs, or maybe let's say the fish species in the water. And the estuary or the river serves as the breeding habitat for most of the pregnant fishes. They come and they lay their eggs here. So if there is high increase in the chemical, it destroys some of these eggs that are being laid down.
The mud from the Galamsey makes it difficult for the fishes to lay eggs. The fingerlings can't grow. Now people are also cutting the trees from the river, and that is making things worse.
More than 5,000 people live in Anlo Beach. 90% of them depend on the river for a living. They are not alone. There are hundreds of such vulnerable communities nationwide now reeling under the horrors of Galamsey. Government's response has been more lip service and very little action. As Ghana head to the polls, many voters, including those at risk of environmental hazards like Galamsey, will be waiting to see how those seeking to lead plan to address this menace. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Anlo Beach in the Western region.
And we're told today that Ghana has made gains in improving access to water to many. On paper, 80% of Ghanaians are supposed to have access to water, but 3 million people in this country still struggle to access potable water. Here's Justice Beidou again from the northern regional town of Hargini, where villagers share their source of water with animals.
We cannot use this water to do anything. This water has a lot of clay in it. When we drink it, it affects our stomach. Even if we treat it, we still can't drink because it's very bad.
For rainy season there is better, but for dry season we can't get water from this because the water is no good, but we are drinking it like that because we don't have choice, and we don't know the place we get water. So that's why we are taking it like that. But we are suffering for drinking it always, because we are getting sickness, a lot of sickness from that drinking that water. If we drink this water, we are complaining our stomach, running diarrhea, a lot of sickness. And we can use even washing. You can use this water for washing, to wash your clothes, because it will make your clothes more dirty.
Let's get back in studio and speak about all the different issues that we've looked at in the stories filed by Justice Baidu. Let me introduce to you the Principal Basin Officer at the Water Resources Commission, a man in charge of the Denso Basin, Dr. Ronald Abrahams. Good morning to you. Also in studio joining me is Mr. Solomon Kusi Ampofo, who's with the Friends of the Nation, an environmentally friendly non-governmental organization. Good morning to you as well. So let me start with you, Dr. Abrahams, because you're in charge of the Denso Basin, which is, if it's fair, is worse than the Para River in terms of activities of illegal miners. Paints the picture of the Denso Basin to us.
Interestingly, the Denso Basin is better.
Is it?
Yes, in several points, as compared to the other river systems. At least we don't have that kind of massive mining activity within the Denso Basin.
Okay.
It is different when we talk about the Brim River. That is highly polluted because of illegal mining activities. But we are still drinking the Denso at Weja, at Insawam, in Koforidua, and then Apedra.
Is it costing more to treat it this time around because of the activities on the river?
Yes, the cost is high due to a number of activities that, communities that live within the basin are carrying out, and which is why we have not relented in our efforts to really educate the general public, including French communities within the basin. And we have also been on the move to enforce laws and ensure that people who are doing illegal mining, as well as, sand and then stone quarrying, are actually handled.
Tell me all the efforts that you've put into education.
Yes.
Has yielded has it yielded any results?
Yes, it's on and off because people keep changing their mode of understanding and then activity. So there are instances where you find out that when human activities, are reduced, the river begins to actually get better. The water gets better. But when people, what we are doing now, previously we used to do illegal mining or small-scale mining with holes and machets, and the impact is so small. Currently, the situation we have on the ground is that foreigners have moved in, especially Chinese, who are putting a lot of equipment into the process. And what maybe will take about 30 days or more to do, within a day, the excavators.
So you work with the commission. You're familiar with what is illegally being done.
Of course, yeah.
What have you done about it? I think
we have linked up with the National Security Council. Currently, when you get to Weja, people are out of their quarry pits. Sand winning has reduced drastically, and even waste pollution around has also reduced, except for the line towards the toll booth, which we are actually looking at very seriously. We have carried out a number of awareness creation activities.
We'll come to that because we appreciate the fact that you're putting a lot of effort. But what we want to see happen is change.
It's change.
And I think that we've seen very little of it because we're still here today with a lot of people still not having
without
access.
any loss of generality that we have an issue of development. It is a developmental issue. It will change.
If you say we have an issue of development, what do you mean?
It is a developmental issue because people have found new ways of getting what they need to get. Previously, it's just farming, and that's it. Now, people have found a new life, which is mining. And people are interested in within a day. If they're able to get their school fees, their feeding money, and everything, they are happy, as compared to farming. Which is why when you get into the interior, you will find citrus farms deserted, and people are ready to give them out for mining.
Mr. Ampofo is very familiar with the kind of picture that you're painting and how things have changed, but he also says that they put in a lot of efforts. Tell me you've seen actual results.
Yes, if you look at the things that have been put in place, nothing much has changed in terms of the illegal mining activities polluting water bodies, especially the Pra River. Currently, even the situation has worsened, and that the Ghana Water Company, the Dabuasi Headworks, is finding it very difficult to even treat the water that they are supposed to produce to the residents of Sekondi Takoradi and its environs. You know, the approach in dealing with these problems, we need to really be bold and tackle it head on. Providing security is not sustainable. So if you look at the national task force that was put in place, it could not address the issues of illegal mining, especially on water bodies. What we need to do is to engage the communities themselves and also the landowners and the chiefs, who, without their consent, no mining activity will be done in these river bodies. If you look at the documentary and the pictures that you showed, you saw there were a lot of milling machines on these rivers. If you could take a critical look, you look at all of those are numbered. So it tells you that every operator has a number and they know the fees that they need to pay daily. So the communities around and also the landowners should be really engaged for them to understand how the activities of illegal mining is causing the nation and also the populace at large. Currently, there is water rationing in Sekondi Takoradi, so they can't have access to potable water because the cost of treatment has risen, and that it is very difficult. Even recently, the headworks came out to say that if this continues, they might need to shut down. And I think in some other parts of the country, some of the treatment plants have been shut down because of the difficulty in treating water.
The experience of rationing and water shortage exists today. What would be the costs or the implications if there's a total shutdown?
If there is a total shutdown, then it means that over 1 million people in the parts of the western region will not have access to potable water. Either they resort to other alternative water, which might not be clean, which might not be safe. It must also cause the increase in communicable diseases, and also even in the rainy season, and as we have experienced over the time, it might also lead to the outbreak of cholera. So the consequences are very much. That is why we need to take a bold step in addressing the issues of water pollution by illegal mining.
And I'm sure the Water Resources Commission certainly have a responsibility in all this. Can you tell us your role?
Well, we are responsible for water bodies in the country. So, to put it simply, we are water managers. But as I mentioned earlier on, the kind of situation we find ourselves in, where people are polluting water bodies and generating more than necessary wastewater, and then out of the clean water systems we have, it's a developmental issue.
There's a recommendation, a head-on approach.
Yes,
meet with the landowners and deal with them on that level.
When I talk about it's a developmental issue, we will have to find ways and means of engaging people to take them off the pits.
How about this particular recommendation? Meet with those who give the lands out directly.
And we are doing a lot of that. But you see, if
so it's
we
not working
break,
then.
If we break away from the quagmire of getting tempted with a lot of money, because people who get their way through communities with mining activities are holding a lot of money. Even as a regulator, when you go there to want to stop certain processes, they are ready to meet you halfway through with money. So that if you are not the kind who is self-motivated and hard on not wanting to yield to their whims, then you fall prey to their
Are we talking landowners or those who do the business?
We are talking about landowners. Government doesn't own land in this country. And it is all in the hands of schools and communities and families.
So even as regulators and managers, they try to get you to step down by offering you money?
By offering money. And I've had the occasion to reject a lot of such things because I personally don't like what.
So how much money are we talking about?
Oh, sometimes when a chief sees up to 10,000, 20,000 Ghana cedis, these are kinds of monies they haven't seen before. And then they fall easily to such things. Some public officials, you know, when they see a little bit of money, which is more than what they take at the end of every month, or maybe what they will take in about 2 or 3 months, they can easily fall prey to it. It will have to take a lot of strong character.
So have you had have you had to sack people?
Of course,
because of some of these
that, because
things?
that is our job, and we will not stop at anything like giving me some money so that I wouldn't want to enforce the law. And we have had the occasion to invite military and then the police to chase people out of various points, you know, because of what is going on. But what we have realized is that we need cooperation from the general public. Communities should be up and coming. Chiefs should be up and coming. The moment the temptation comes, they should be alive to the fact that when we give this land to these people, they will dig everywhere and pollute our water systems. And sometimes they find it easy, you know, digging within the river channels. And this is where the temptation is at. We need to change the trends. If a chief and maybe a council of elders say no to any form of mining activity which is not registered, or when a registered company begins to do things within the community to destroy the water systems of a community, and then the communities actually get up and want to fight those companies, these kind of things will not be seen. And at least won't have as massive a scale as we have currently in mining activities. So it is our responsibility, the citizenry of the Republic of Ghana, to stop these processes of polluting our water systems. That is a way out. Law enforcement has its limits.
Let's see if you have some recommendations to address this other issue of people using monies to induce officers and then the landowners, essentially the chiefs. How do we deal with this?
Yeah, so, you know, the chiefs and landowners are very key stakeholders in this industry. One, it must be stated that mining in water bodies is illegal. Nobody should ever tempt that I will do mining in a water body. The Minerals Commission does not grant license to anybody to mine in the water body. What we need to recognize is that the country is blessed with a lot of mineral resources. We must understand that we need to ensure that the benefit sharing of mineral benefits goes to reach the communities and also the landowners themselves. So currently we need to develop a framework to design critically how we share the benefits in terms of revenues, even in terms of employment, so that the communities directly and also the landowners will also be part and feel parcel of how the minerals that they are taking from their own grounds also benefits them. The other thing is that small-scale mining is very important to the development of this country. In 2014, about 34% of gold that were produced in this country were from the small-scale mining sector. The challenge is that there are lack of access to viable lands. So what we need to do is to find the money to be able to designate areas, do geological investigations, know the mineral value of these lands, then give it out for people like small-scale miners to mine on a sustainable basis so that we can be able to monitor them. But for the water bodies, it is a no. It is absolutely illegal.
So why do you think? Why do they like to go there?
They like to go there is because one, there are minerals within those water bodies. There are minerals within there, and that they also have access to people who just give them this authorization to go and do the mining. And that's
but somebody owns the water bodies too?
Yes.
Somebody has a title on that?
Because the water bodies passes through someone's land, you understand? And that is why I'm saying that without the consent of landowners, communities, and chiefs, no one can do mining in water bodies.
Interesting.
So we need to tackle these people and really engage them for them to understand. I mean, for some of them, I think one of the key things we can do is also arrest and prosecute some. Because if you're a landowner or a chief or a community leader, and if you give the authorization for people to mine in the river body, then it should be arrested and prosecuted. And this will serve as a disincentive for people to continue to do this illegal thing.
So I'm very curious here. So this Denso Basin, this project of yours, there are people who have titles to this?
Yes. When we look at our land tenure system in Ghana, land is not in the hands of governments, as we could find in other jurisdictions such as Malaysia. And this actually makes development a little difficult. If we will have to use a particular land space, we have to then do what we call compulsory acquisition. Compensation will have to be paid, and then the land is taken. And this is where the problem is. If land is not under the control of government, people will have to be consulted with.
Apologies, even with the water bodies, we haven't taken it from the traditional authorities or those who traditionally
all the water bodies are in the hands of government.
Okay.
By law.
Okay. And by law, the commission doesn't give anybody license to do any mining on any of the river bodies. So why do we in this reports, why do we have machines sitting on the river that nobody's supposed to?
Wrong attitudes of communities, because where
is
the
it?
chief
or inaction by the commission. If I haven't given you license to operate, and you're operating in a place which is not even on a bare land, this is water body, which you have absolute control over.
Good. Earlier on, I mentioned that what we are experiencing is developmental, and it will have to take some governmental strategies to actually come out of this, because we have a situation where people are looking for survival, means of survival, and they will do anything. People will do anything so they can get their daily bread, they can get school fees, they can meet their health obligations and things of the sort. So we have to change the attitude where we want to, give in to destruction of the environment and then allowing, this kind of mining activities. All the minerals that we have across the country is described or are described as a stock resource. It will get finished with time. And we shouldn't create a situation where we are destroying every section.
But I think my issue is, and we definitely have to revisit this. We keep talking about it. Water Day comes every year. It's become like an annual ritual for us to talk about our challenges. And we do nothing about it. I mean, and that's almost becoming like a headache. But let's go to Takoradi in the Western region. We'll certainly come back and continue this conversation in here because we know that people are finding it as a huge task looking for potable water. So here are some people who live in Takoradi expressing their views on the subject.
2 months now, I think the water supply has become a challenge to us here in Sekondi Takoradi, most especially Fiekuma. When you have it in the weekend, that is Saturday or Sunday, it will take you like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before you get another water supply. So it is not easy for us at all.
I stay at New Takoradi, and then the water problem there is very serious. Sometimes it goes for like 3 weeks, 1 month, no water. And then we have to trek to far places to fetch the water. If you don't have money to take a car, even if with a car, how many gallons are you supposed to take? Or can you take along with you? It's very appalling.
Fortunately, we've got the Regional Communications Manager in charge of the Central and Western Zone of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Nana Yao Berima Banier, who's joining us via phone for more. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on News Desk. So what is the current situation? You're still rationing water?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Banier, if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the thing is a bit faint.
Okay, so I'll try and speak up a bit so, you can hear me better. I'm asking what the current situation is with regards distribution of water in the Western and Central regions.
In fact, we are actually talking about Western region, not Central region.
Okay.
I must say that the Western regional capital, Sekandi Takoradi Metropolis, the place is served with water from two main sources. We have one from Daboase Treatment Plant, which has an installed or designed capacity of 6 million gallons of water a day. And then we also have the Inchaban Treatment Plant with a capacity of 4 million gallons of water a day. However, because of the period within which we are now, that is the dry season, we are unable to get enough raw water inflows to our abstraction point or our intake point to be able to abstract for treatment. And the result of this is that we are now producing an average of 3 million gallons of water a day from Daboase. And then we are also producing 1.3 million gallons average daily of water a day from Inchaban. And so between the two of them, you realize we have lost about 5.7 million gallons of water a day. And this is the amount of water that we should have been able to use to serve the Sekandi Takoradi. And because we don't have enough water going around, there is the need for us to find a way of distributing the water such that each resident or each customer has a fair share of the available treated water. And that is why it has now become important that we ration the water. We need to ration because without rationing, what is going to happen is that if we leave the water to just flow, find its own level, it is only those customers whose houses or premises are in low-lying areas who are going to get the water because there isn't much pressure in the line. For that matter, those at high points are not likely to get water.
So
that is why.
Mr. Banier, so this is as a result of the dry weather. That's it, the dry season.
Yeah, it is because the period within which we are, we don't have enough raw water to abstract for treatment.
Okay,
because of the dry season that we find ourselves and other factors that also contribute to the reduction in the amount of water in the river basin.
Where's your dry water coming from? Your raw water, where is it coming from?
From Daboase, we abstract water from the Pra River. And then also the Inchaban Treatment Plant also gets a source of raw water from a river called Anokpare. So that is the situation.
So I take it that you don't have any challenges with illegal miners then? Because, this is as a result of the dry season, not necessarily because people are doing illegal activities on the Pra River.
I may not have mentioned illegal mining or galamsey, but I must say that it is a very heavy, serious thing, I must say, that goes on in the Pra River. Everybody who has come to Takoradi before would testify that the Pra River, when you get to Beposo, is a pool of dirty water. Yeah, that's what how I can describe it. It's a pool of dirty water.
All right. So when,
the color, yeah.
When should we expect?
It's all because of galamsey activities. Yeah.
All right, very well. When should we expect this rationing to cease? When are you expecting that you get back to your normal situation of distribution of water?
Yeah, I'm sure very soon we will enter into the rainy season. Once the rainy season comes in, we are hopeful that we will get enough water in the basin to abstract for treatment. So we are waiting for the rainy season to set in, and once it does, we are hopeful that whatever amount of water we require, we will be able to get, even in abundance, to be able to treat for the ration of water in Sekondi Takoradi to stop. We are grateful for your time and your confidence. You get it in abundance when the rainy season sets in. Thank you very much. That's Regional Communication Manager, Central and Western Region at the Ghana Water Company. That's Nanayao Berima Banier. I want us to also appreciate the picture as it is on the continent.
Water. It's life's most basic need. But there's a water crisis in our world right now. Seriously, a crisis. Nearly 1 billion people live without clean drinking water. It's happening all over the world, especially in developing areas of sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. It's a water crisis because it starts with water. But water affects everything. Education, health, poverty, and especially women and children. Let's look at a family caught in the water crisis. It's likely they live on less than $1 a day. When they're thirsty, they can't just turn on the faucet for a nice cold glass of water. They don't have a faucet. Instead, the women and children go off to collect water. Many walk up to 3 hours a day to the nearest swamp, pond, or river to gather water that's been sitting out in the open, exposed to all kinds of germs. Time spent gathering water is time they can't spend learning to read, write, earn an income, or take care of their family. Some women in sub-Saharan Africa spend more time collecting water than any other activity they do in the day. And the walk isn't just hard, it's dangerous. The women are alone and burdened with 40 pounds of water. Many get hurt. Sometimes they're even attacked. When they make it home, the little water they've collected isn't clean. Some families know their water is contaminated with germs that cause diarrhea, dehydration, even death. But what choice do they have? Kids, especially babies, are affected most by these germs. About every 19 seconds, a mother loses one of her children to a water-related illness. And each day, almost 1 billion people are living this way. Until they get a little help. The water crisis is solvable. There are solutions. Some are brand new and innovative, like water filtration systems. Some are age-old, like drilled or hand-dug wells. These solutions bring clean water much closer to the people who need it. A safe water project near a village restores hours each day to a person's life. This time, it's opportunity. It's freedom to go to school and get an education, to work or start a business, to raise a family. Africa alone could save 40 billion hours each year. That's the entire annual workforce of France. Clean water means less disease. That's less money spent on medicine, which means more money for books and school uniforms. And if the water project is built near a school, it can increase attendance, especially among young girls. The water crisis is vast, but we can solve it. Just $20 can provide one person with access to a clean water project in their village. And this will mean more than clean water. Because water changes everything. Join us.
News Desk, our conversation on water, even as we observe World Water Day today. In studio, I have a guest from the Water Resources Commission, Dr. Ronald Abrahams, and also Friends of the Nation, Mr. Solomon Kusi Ampofo. And we've got to wrap up this conversation. I'm just looking at a time when the Commission can take charge of all the river bodies and make sure that no machines are in any of the rivers, because that's illegal, really. Can we get to that time?
Yes, we can get to that time.
When?
And the time is now. We are in the process. Today is World Water Day, and the theme for the celebration is water and wastewater. We can, as a nation, decide to turn all our good water bodies into wastewater if we want. And otherwise, we can also work in a way that all our water bodies will become clean, and we take all the machines that are doing the illegal mining activities.
That's your responsibility, isn't it?
It is our responsibility.
Take those machines off those rivers.
Yes, we are going to do that together as a nation. And I'm very happy that we have chosen a strategy to really build factories all over the country to absorb the teeming masses of youth who don't have anything to do.
You're talking about one district, one factory.
Yes, I think
and
it's
you're banking your hopes on that.
We are not banking our hopes on
So that's going to resolve the challenges that we have on the river bodies?
It's going to be one of the ways we are going to deal with people who don't have jobs. I'm talking about developmental issue. What we are talking about is not about an institution or a gamut of them doing it's a developmental issue. And once people are engaged in various ways, it will take the pressure off the water system.
So one district, one factory is going to take the pressure and get the people off.
The other thing to it is that it's going to generate some wastewater, so we have to be careful that all these factories should have waste management plants to deal with the solid waste and deal with the liquid waste, so that we reduce or we cut down on the amount of wastewater getting into our water systems. Gutters are not meant for wastewater, but when you look at the generality of what is going on around us, people put all of their wastewater into gutters. Gutters are meant to redirect rainwater. So this is World Water Day, and I hope we will use the occasion to educate ourselves that we need to cut down on how much wastewater we generate from our kitchen and then from other places.
Okay, I'll take a final word.
Yes, I believe we need to gather the political will to deal with those who flout the laws. And we also need a holistic approach, bringing on all the major stakeholders, the Minerals Commission, Water Resource Commission, civil society organization, and the media. And I'm very happy that today you use your platform to be able to speak to the issue for people to be able to understand and appreciate. So let's gather the political will, all those who are giving consent for people to mine in river bodies, they should be arrested and prosecuted.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Now let's move on to other stories. A 45-year-old woman has been hospitalized after her husband shot her in a misunderstanding over food. Ekiabedu, resident of Aboakwa near Kumasi, suffered the fate during a visit to the husband, Kwesi Amadu, in the Echema Kwawumia district. Here's Prince Appiah's report.
Love News sources say the man turned down a request by the woman to share a bowl of tozafi he had bought. Amadu became offended, refused to eat supper, and ordered Madame Bedu out of the matrimonial home for vowing to pay him back when she had her turn. Consequently, the woman, who had been married for 25 years with 5 children, spent the night in an uncompleted building nearby. Last Sunday, my husband bought food, so I asked that I join to eat, she says. But he said to me I didn't buy the food, so he wouldn't give me. This ended up in a little misunderstanding. The next morning, he asked that I pack and leave. So I did as he said. After packing, he brought out a gun and asked 3 times if I will receive it or leave. So I asked why. But on the 3rd time, he shot me twice. He was drunk by then. Madame Bedu, who was wounded in the shoulder and buttocks, was rushed to the SDA hospital at Dominase, where she is currently responding to treatment. Yao Owusu is unit committee chairman at Triniase, Japan, where the incident occurred. Fear has engulfed the community. We want security to be intensified. We fear he could attack another person if we go after him, because he left with a gun. The police should come to our aid. He says the case has been reported to police at Semfi, but they are yet to visit the crime scene while the culprit is on the run. Meanwhile, Semfi police say they are investigating the issue. Prince Apia reporting.
You're watching News Desk. Stay with us. We've got business right after this.